Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a City versus Liverpool FA Cup semi-final review. City come crashing out of the FA Cup at the hands of Klopp's Liverpool, and our treble dreams are over for another year. Let's get into our thoughts. Okay, Joe, so today is our first loss since we lost to Tottenham back in the league in January or in February. I was there for that one. That was a tough day, and today was a tough display of football from City. I think even though the scoreline was 3-2, I think that absolutely flatters us, particularly in the first half. We didn't deserve to be 3-0 down at half-time. We created absolutely nothing, really. The passing was off. The defence was all over the place. It was a tough watch. Now, I will throw it in there that I give them a slight bit of leeway because of the tough fixtures we've had recently. I mean, I'm not no disrespect to Benfica and whatnot. I know they gave Liverpool a tough game in Anfield the other night, but I think the two games against Atletico, sandwiched around the Liverpool League game, it made for a really tough 10 days or so, and it is only natural that a slightly flat performance comes off the back of them. And it did look like the players who have featured more than others were tired today, and it also looked like the players who haven't featured a huge amount recently just weren't sharp enough. I mean, we can talk about some of the players. I thought Zinchenko is a player I do rate. He's not a player that I'd be saying, get him out, he's finished or he's not good enough. He's not played a huge amount of football. You can't expect him to look great having not played much football. Ake, who has got his flowers recently, he's got his praise, was very poor in the first half, improved in the second half, I thought, a little bit. Fernandinho, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I know he's similar to Zinchenko, hasn't played a huge amount of football, but for someone of his experience and the quality we know he can or has had, he was really off it today. I thought Fernandinho was really poor, and I'd like to get all of your thoughts down below in the comments on Fernandinho because we know he's leaving now and whatnot. And today was a tough day for him. He looked really frustrated. It was a really tough watch, Joe. It was a hard day at the office, and like I said in the intro, the treble is now over. So it's absolutely imperative that we win at least one of the other of the Champions League or the Premier League.
Yep, treble's gone, plainly and simply, so we can stop focusing on that. And look, this was always, in my mind anyway, this was always going to be this type of game where you could see in some of the players, they weren't just physically tired, they were mentally tired after the battle that we had in Madrid just gone midweek. Like, not just physically, the mental side of it as well. They are drained on all levels. And again, I'm not surprised. I've seen people go ranting and raving about the team that Pep picks. What do you want him to do? Do you want him to run the squad into the ground? Do you want him to pick up more injuries into his squad so that we're forced to play this type of team in the league where it actually matters? Like, pick your poison here. This is the best of a bad situation that we had, and I wasn't really expecting much going into the game. I thought that, if Liverpool were on an off day, which in the first half they weren't, in the first half they were really on it, then maybe we could have caught them, and it showed in the second half. They all but switched off, fought game over at 3-0, and we managed to claw ourselves back into the game, but it was too little too late. The first half was really the downfall. Too many things just swung, against us. Obviously, Stefan is the big talking point. He had an absolute nightmare giving up that goal, and honestly, I don't know where it goes from him from here. We've got good goalkeepers who are out on loan, good young goalkeepers. I don't know whether we can even shift him on because who wants him? I think it's a little bit unfair possibly to say shift him on just now. But again, if you cast your minds back to just before the international break against Southampton in the quarterfinal, the previous round, the mistake he made there as well to make it 1-1 going into halftime there. This is not a new thing this season. We've always said his redeeming quality has been his shot stopping. He's not a good ball player. He's not an Ederson level ball player, and you can see it today. Ederson creates so much for our attack going forward with his range of passing that he genuinely takes so much out of our game just not having that ball playing ability from the goalkeeper, because our defenders are reluctant to give him the ball. Our defenders don't know what he's going to do when he has the ball. He seems to hesitate in his decision making, as you can see with the goal that we conceded from it. So, again, we usually praise him for being, he's a good shot stopper, he's a good number 2, but I'm not so sure that's the case anymore. Like, we've seen him be exposed with his decision making this season, so I don't know really where you go with that. But it's not just him. There were multiple players who, this was their chance. This was their chance to make a claim for the rest of the season for the running that we have, and none of them really took it.
I would argue that Stefan, yes, the first one he conceded, the Mane one that Mane closed him down and put in the back of the net, it's simply unforgivable. I'm sorry, you can make leeway if you've got, your allegiances to Stefan and you like him and you feel sorry for him. You can say, oh, these things happen. But Joe mentioned a mistake earlier in the season, and today's one is simply unforgivable. Joe slightly touched on it there. The drop off in quality from not having Ederson on the pitch is absolutely massive, and that damages everybody else on the pitch. Like Joe said, Ederson is such an integral part of our attacking play. It breeds into the rest of the team, and it was very noticeable at times that Stones and Ake and Zinchenko and Cancelo where they were looking nervous because of who they had behind them, and they were also, like Joe said, reluctant to give him the ball. It's a frustrating one, because I feel that if Ederson was on the pitch today, it possibly would have been a different outcome. And I'd also argue that he could have done a huge amount better for Mane's second goal, which was the one that went in his near post. Fantastic build-up play from Liverpool. Credit to them for that. Good strike from Mane, but at Stefan's near post, and if you look at the position he was in when the shot was taken, I would expect a top goalkeeper or a good goalkeeper to get a hand to it or a foot to it. The angle wasn't huge for Mane to put the ball into the back of the net, and Stefan let it go by him. I think that was a confidence thing. It looked to me like Stefan's confidence was shattered, because even when he did have the ball at his feet, other times throughout the game after that, he didn't look confident. He looked like he was rattled. But look, Liverpool looked up for today. I suppose Liverpool had a slight luxury that we didn't have midweek, whereby they had a comfortable enough lead going into their second leg versus Benfica. They were able to rotate. They were able to play some second string players, if you like, against Benfica. Turned out to be a tough game, but all their main players didn't have to play 90 whole minutes. We had to go out and go to war essentially with Diego Simeone's Atletico, so naturally it takes its toll physically and mentally. And like I said, they look really hungry to Liverpool. They blew us off the park in the first half, and then listen, I was quite proud in some respects of the attempt at comeback in the second half. Grealish, who I predicted to scoring very early, took his goal well. He spoke about midweek how he needs to shoot more, needs to be a bit more selfish, and I'm glad he took that shot, and he deserves his goal, and hopefully that will help him going forward. Then of course we got that second goal, but it was too little too late at that point, really. There wasn't enough time to get a third, but you can't help but think that if Ederson had been in goals, I know it's all if buts and maybes and shoulda woulda couldas, that mistake wouldn't have happened. I don't think anyway. The Mane goal, or the first Mane goal, and then it would have been 2-2, and we could have taken it to extra time. But listen, that's all speculation on what could have happened. Anyway, it's over now. We're out of the FA Cup, and like I touched on briefly, we have to win one of the Premier League or the Champions League for this to be a successful season now. I don't see any reason as to why we can't win both. I was very proud. I said this in the review. I was very proud of the character and fight and togetherness the team showed against Atletico midweek. And I do believe they'll carry that into these upcoming Premier League matches. Massive one against Brighton Wednesday, who are in great form. That is a must win, because we all know Liverpool are hot in our heels and they're ready to capitalise on any mistakes we made. And I believe Real Madrid is a winnable game. Now, I'm glad players like De Bruyne didn't come on in the end today. He needed that rest. I don't even know why he was on the bench. He needed that extra rest. Hopefully we get Walker back. We'll put today down as a blip. We said this in our preview, and we can't have double standards, Joe. We said this in our preview that this isn't the most important thing. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we were to lose the FA Cup. Now, obviously, to lose out on any trophy, it does hurt in a way, but think about the bigger picture here, people. We are still 1 point clear on top of the table. We're still in the Champions League, and that's a winnable tie. Whether you think Real Madrid are too good for us or not, with Benzema and whatnot, that's a winnable tie. We can do it if we are on form and we have our best complement of players. All the big trophies are still there to play for, and we shouldn't be disheartened by what we saw today. It's one of those days, a lot of rotation, a lot of fatigue, so do show some leeway. But we're going to go over to our player ratings and just basically break down what we saw today. But bear in mind what I said about the bigger picture, Premier League and Champions League. It's all still to play for. Let's get over to our player ratings now and see what we gave the lads. Okay, we're going to pop up our player ratings 1 to 10 on screen for you to see right now. As always, please do get involved down below in the comments. Would you like anybody to be rated higher, anybody lower? Give us your overall thoughts on the team's performance and, of course, the individual performances. Starting in goals with Zach Steffen. He is our lowest rating for the day, and that's just it. Keepers have a huge amount of responsibility. I get that, but when they do make mistakes, rightly so in these situations, they have to be heavily criticised. It's just the way it is. We gave him a 3. His errors, his lack of confidence, obviously from being rattled through these errors, bred into the rest of the team. And I think that did affect the rest of the team psychologically. He was a massive catalyst in our downfall today. And I hate to say these things. I hate to criticise players heavily, but I have to be honest. I'm an honest man. I'm a footballing man. The guy was brutal today. He really was brutal. Now, I want you to give your thoughts on him first, Joe, before we talk about the defence, because we have to single out Zach Steffen in this situation.
You're right, he has to be singled out. He's cost us 1, if not 2 goals in a 3-2 loss, which as a goalkeeper is unacceptable. If he thinks that he even has a small chance of pushing Ederson, then he's blown that right away, because there is no chance he'll ever move up the pecking order here. So that puts essentially his career in jeopardy. Yeah, he can stay and he can win trophies, but he won't be playing football that much. And look, again, I say this all the time about the Cups. This is an important competition in a Pep Guardiola side for a sub-goalkeeper, because they know they're going to play, and they know that if they get knocked out, they don't play again that season. So for them, it's their only chance of football. Everything's on the line for them. And, you know, that's Zach Steffen's season done. It's done. He won't play again unless Ederson picks up an injury. He will not play again, and I'm sure of it. Will he ever play for the club again? I don't know. Well, it remains to be seen. Should he? Probably not. I think time's probably come, even though he just has signed a new contract extension. But again, unforgivable. First Mane goal, just poor decision making, absolute howler. I think that might be a fair. Like, he's seen Ederson last week go and almost score a goal in his own goal and clear it off the line. He's tried to do it this week, and it's gone horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. And then the second goal, like you said, he shouldn't be getting beat on his near post. That is bread and butter for goalkeepers. You should be doing your best to cover your near post. If you're getting beat on the near post, then something is going wrong. It was not a good angle for them to score, and they somehow managed to get it in. I'll obviously cut him a little bit of slack for the first goal, the corner. We were so undersized today. We had one outfield player over 6 foot, which was John Stones. The rest of them are all below. And they had multiple above 6 foot. So Ake against Kanate was not a good mix, and that resulted in the first goal. But for the other two, he's got to take a big part of the blame.
It's a tough day at the office for Steffen, and like I said, with the amount of responsibility goalkeepers take on their shoulders, when these kind of days come along, it does heavily damage their reputation. You know, there only is one goalkeeper in each team, so it's up to them to when they are on the pitch to really show what they're worth and what they can do. And it's these kind of days really do damage Steffen. And you touched on in the first part of the show the amount of quality goalkeepers we have through the ranks now. Obviously, I've got a bias towards Irish Gavin Bazunu, who's on loan with Portsmouth. Look at his stats, people. Go and have a look at Gavin Bazunu at Portsmouth. Have a look at Gavin Bazunu with the Republic of Ireland. He's absolutely smashing it. I have no doubt Pep is aware of the stats Bazuna's putting up, and it's these kind of things. Maybe Steffen will get pushed by him, and there's Kieran Slicker and other goalkeepers. James Trafford's doing well at Bolton. So the goalkeeper position for Steffen, the second choice, it's going to be jeopardised. It's these kind of opportunities he has to take. Moving into defence, we gave Zinchenko a 5. It's a low score for Zinchenko. He was off it today, and like I said in the first part of the show, I do give him the leeway that I know he's a very good player on his day when he's playing consistently, but he's not playing consistently, and it looked like that today. He looked like a player lacking consistency and form. His passing was off, his timing was off, and I think he struggled heavily against Salah at times. Happily or happy for him, or lucky for him, Salah didn't score any points, so that's probably a plus. But I thought his overall contribution to the game, Zinchenko, wasn't great. Ake, in the first half, looked all over the place. I thought he was really struggling, but he redeemed himself slightly in the second half with some big challenges on Salah, possibly goal-saving. You call it, gave him a 6. He's been good when called upon recently, but I think his first half performance, along with a lot of the other players' first half performances, is the reason we ended up with the outcome we did. Stones, we gave an 8 to. He was our man of the match. That's why the stars beside his name. God bless Stones. He really gave it his all today. He tried to be the leader because he knows he's one of the most experienced players on the pitch, and he's one of the most informed players on the pitch for us today. And he really tried. A lot of what he did was very positive. It's just unfortunate for him. He was dealing with quite a lot of crap around him. Cancelo, we gave a 7 to. Unfortunately for him, you know, Cancelo's a player who's so technically good. He looks a lot better when he has players on form around him, technically good players around him, and he just didn't have that today. I mean, he was doing a lot of passing and interchanging with Fernandinho, and we'll speak with Fernandinho after, but put it this way, Fernandinho didn't do him any favours. Joe, it was a rough day for the back four, but I feel for Stones a little bit because it was obvious, it was evident that Stones was trying really hard, and he was positive at times.
Yeah, Stones was the bright spark and really shows that, you know, he has a solid case of being number 2 centre half. I'm certain of it. You know, he pushed it last season. He started off this season injured, but he's coming into it now with the absence of Diaz. He's really stepped into the limelight. Tried to be a leader today. It didn't really work, but that's not on him. Like, I'm sorry, for me, it's just it's mind-boggling, the defence, how Ake is a natural centre-half. I find him when he's better at left-back, because I think if you're in the Discord, and I think I was talking to Dan in the Discord about this, that his passing, his long-range passing, just isn't on the level of the other three centre-halves that we've got. Stones, Laporte and Diaz can all, put a ball in behind Liverpool's high line. That's how we exploited them last week. Balls in over the top, their high line, we exploited it. And Ake, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether he just doesn't try them or what, but he just, not once did I see him, break the lines with a long pass. I think he's better at left back. It suits the build up more. He's better defensively. That's where he's played better this season, to be honest. When he's got his cameos, it has been at left back. And then obviously Zinchenko is the one defender I'd give a little bit of leeway to, because the last time he started a game of football was over a month ago, and he has not played since then. So it's been a month since he's played football, so I cut him a little bit of slack. Almost cost the fourth goal, of course. But again, what can you do when you play next to no football? I thought it was possibly an odd decision to start him. Obviously, we didn't predict it, but Pep went with it, giving players a rest. And the thing for me with Cancelo, you touched on his technical ability. He played like a traditional right-back, overlapping, hugging the touchline. I'm not a fan of when Cancelo does that at all. I don't like it. He plays much better when he tucks into the midfield and supports the other technical players, because it suits his game and it suits the other people's game in that midfield area. So I don't know what it is, whether it was an instruction from Pep, whether it was Cancelo taking it upon himself to be more comfortable out on the right, using his right foot. I don't know, but it's not something that I particularly enjoyed today, and I think he's better in a different role.
I think the reason Cancelo wasn't able to move into the middle of the park and contribute in that sense is because of the onslaught of attacking going on from Liverpool. We wave after wave of rapid attacks. Cancelo probably couldn't afford to move out of his designated position and leave that space free, because Mane was ready to pounce. Mane was so potent in that first half that that's probably what damaged Cancelo's overall play. So I think a 7 is the best we can give Cancelo. Moving into the midfield, this is where it was won and lost. As always, the midfield battle, if you lose that, you're in for a tough day. Fernandinho was one of the poorest players in the pitch for us. I know a lot of people who love Fernandinho, and like myself and Joe do, we love the guy for what he's given to the club, but we have to call a spade and analyse the game we watched. He was poor today. His passing was off. He looked rattled at times. He was lucky to not get red carded, if we're being totally honest, at a couple of stages of the game. He just didn't look it. He really didn't. He was giving a lot of long balls out to the wings, which were going over the sidelines, just breaking down our own attacks and slowing down our overall play. I think, unfortunately, I hate to say it, because like I said, I love the guy. I just think he's past it. I think he's over the hill, and it probably is the right time for him to go. We can all be nostalgic about club legends, but you also have to realise when they are no longer contributing enough to the team or contributing in a positive way. And I think Fernandinho is probably at that time. No doubt he will go down as a club legend for all the right reasons, but today's performance is not one he will look back on with a huge amount of pride. Bernardo, God bless him, similar to Stones, has played a huge amount of football in the last 10 days, and he looked every bit of it today. He looked tired. People bear in mind, the game Bernardo plays is a high intensity, high energy, huge amount of running. I think Bernardo usually covers the most ground in the pitch every week for City, 10, 12, 15 kilometres sometimes. So for him to have to play that type of game, every 3 days against the type of opposition we've had recently, it's going to take his toll. And he looked it today. He looked a bit tired. Now, he wasn't poor by any means. I think he gave what he could, but he was running on zero battery, essentially. Do you know what I mean? He was about to die any minute if we were talking like an iPhone. And similar to Foden, he took that knock midweek. Myself and Joe said in the preview we would have preferred Foden not to have played, just give him the rest. And even with the outcome that we did get, I still look back and say that, because he didn't need today's 90 minutes. I think the Brighton game next Wednesday is more important. He tried Foden. He worked hard as he could, but he looked tired, similar to Bernardo. So Fernandinho just was off it for me, and Bernardo and Foden running on zero to no gas, Joe. It was a tough day for the midfield.
Tough day. Too many things went wrong. The defensive pivot was not sound at all. Lucky to stay on the pitch. He is well and truly finished. It's sad to say, but you've got to be honest in this situation. Like, whenever Liverpool break on the attack, I think it was I think my mind goes back to, I think it was Norwich away, when Jamie Redknapp was singing Fernandinho's praises because he had a good game. That's Norwich. You can see when the increase of quality comes from a side like Liverpool, who are faster and quicker with their decisions, and just an overall better team in terms of the quality of players. Fernandinho could not break a single attack down without either cropping someone, giving away a foul, or letting them get past him. He just couldn't hack it. They were too fast. They were too sharp. The decision making was on point. He couldn't get near them. He just is not. He's not good enough to start the big games. You can get away with it with a Norwich because it's Norwich. No disrespect to Norwich, but the bottom of the Premier League for a reason. So for me, last time we'll probably see him start a game of football realistically, unless injuries or suspensions happen. I don't know where his next start is going to come for. I think again, I've said this before, I think we will see him again because he's a leader and he can come up and shore the game up for the last 5-10 minutes. But I don't think he'll start anytime soon, especially based on this performance. And Bernardo and Foden took the knock. He kind of almost had to start, knowing that Pep said that De Bruyne he didn't want to risk, even though he was on the bench, and Gundogan had a knee problem. Some sort of, I don't know what it was. I think he just took a knock and he couldn't play. So his hand was forced to really play him, to be honest. And then Bernardo, the thing that strikes me is he's played 90 minutes yet again. He's played every single minute of football over the 4 games, apart from the end of the 0-0 against Atletico Madrid. That is absolutely astonishing. I don't know why he played 90 minutes. I wanted him taken off at half-time because at 3-0 the game was over. Yeah, he scored a goal at the end and almost brought us back into it. But you don't want to run him into the ground. He's got 7 Premier League games left. I don't want him being absolutely shattered for it because he is crucial to the way that we play. So odd decision. But again, Pep's hand was kind of forced. He had to play someone.
Yeah, I alluded to it in the preview that the depth of the squad isn't as massive as a lot of people like to believe. Moving into the front three, we gave Sterling a 6, Grealish a 7, and Jesus a 5. We'll start with Sterling. I think anything that was going to happen in the first half was probably going to come through Sterling. He was trying, but he just wasn't having much luck. There wasn't a huge amount of work with around him. Players that he would usually look to for assists or for sparks of inspiration and energy, the likes of Bernardo, the likes of Foden. We just spoke about they were tired, they were fatigued. Fatigue was clearly a massive part of some of the key players today. Grealish got his goal. I predicted a Grealish goal and he got it finally. But unfortunately, it wasn't a winner or it wasn't one to secure any points for us or anything like that. He didn't have his best game, Grealish. Once again, he was trying. There wasn't a huge amount to work with around him. And I think he's improving slowly, so just bear with Grealish. And Jesus, who we gave the 5 to, I just don't think he's good enough. Sorry, he missed a sitter as well again today, and that's a common occurrence with Jesus. I just don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester City. I think it's almost like the Ederson down to Stefan conversation. The drop off from Jesus or Mahrez down to Jesus is a massive gap. You only had to see the impact Mahrez made when he came on the pitch. Within 10 minutes, he had set up our second goal and Semi got us back into the game. Unfortunately, it was too late in the day. So that's what I'm saying. When you think about these things, you have to weigh up how far behind in quality is the second string player Jesus in this conversation to the first team, the starting 11 player Mahrez in this conversation, and the drop off in quality is huge. So I think Jesus' days are numbered at the club, if you ask me. Myself and Joe have said this for a long time, and today was just another example of that, Joe.
I genuinely cannot wait for the start of next season when Julian Alvarez walks through the door, because it will be a breath of fresh air. Honestly, I am... there's not much I can say. I don't want to get angry because I've got angry about him in the past before, and it's just not worth my time. He's clearly not good enough. He's shown it over the last few games. He fell off at the start of this season. He went through that awful period last season when he went something stupid, like 14 games without scoring a goal, which was utterly ridiculous. Cost us our winning record to an end by making stupid decisions in the Manchester derby. He's just not good enough. And again, he gets an assist today, like he got his goal last week against Liverpool, but that was it. That was it. What else did he do? He missed a sitter. He should have scored today, which if he does that, then it's a completely different story. We're all praising him and going, wow, he actually took a chance. He scored and got an assist. And at that point, it's 3-3 and the game is looking completely different, and we're probably not talking on the back of hopefully not talking on the back of a loss, but at the end of the day, it's same old. He gets a chance and he just doesn't take it. What's new about that? I think move him on. It's time to move on. We've got new players coming in the door. Get something refreshing in. Jesus, you never know what you're going to get with the fella. You never know what you're going to get. He's so inconsistent. It really baffles me, and people love him. I'm not too sure on it myself. I don't really see what he brings. He brings energy, but again, like there's a lot of young players who could bring energy and they would cost nothing. So I don't really see the point. And then Sterling, I thought in the first half was the only one who would look like making anything happen, but even that was kind of a stretch because no one was looking like doing anything. Couple of dodgy first touches here and there. Apart from that, nothing really to sing or shout about, really. And then Grealish, good goal. I have to say, good goal, good positioning to get himself free in the box. Uses left foot. Wow, left foot. He actually has one. Let's hope he actually starts using it more. And let's hope he starts shooting more. That's one thing that's really annoyed me. Having watched him in person as well, he's been so hesitant to shoot at times this season. I'm hoping that, you know, we've said this before about once he gets his goal, the shackles might come off and he might be released. It's yet to happen, but hopefully, you know, slowly but surely he might just start, you know, popping a few more shots because, again, quotes come out in training of him taking loads of shots. I don't know why we don't see it in games. That's the one issue I have of when he's in an opportunity. He needs to try and take it, and he took it today. So, you know, it's something that I think slowly but surely he will get better. And it wasn't his best overall game, but like he was the best at the front three.
Listen, it was a tough day at the office, and it's maybe a bit of an eye opener for Pep and the players. I don't know what way they'll take this result, but it's very much time to turn our attention back to the bread and butter. Brighton on Wednesday in the Premier League. I already said it is a must win. Look, I know it was a long review, people, tonight, but there was a lot of talking points, a lot to cover. And a lot to kind of analyse. So leave all your thoughts down below and all of that. We appreciate you sticking with us this long if you stayed to the end of the video. Leave a like on the video if you would as well. It helps us massively. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're at 10 subs off 2.2k. We'd love to hit that goal as soon as possible. So help us out on that front if you would. It's just one of those days, people. It's one of those days you have to accept as a football fan. You can't win them all. We're not invincible. We never will be invincible. It's just not realistic. So just take them on the chin, and we'll hopefully look forward to the Brighton game with a brighter performance and a more positive outcome. Thanks very much for watching, and good night and God bless.